I'm Norman Sees. I'm the keyboardist, piano player, organ player / musical producer. Produced a lot of music throughout my time, working with Cyril Neville, the Neville Brothers, George Clinton, Department Funkadelic, and here I am, 2021.
Rickey Caesar, drummer from New Orleans, right here, born and raised of the Caesar Brothers Funk Box. Also drummer with Big Chief Juan Porto, Golden Comanche, whole bunch of other great groups from New Orleans. Just a New Orleans drummer that's holding the Uptown Funky beat down. Born and raised straight from Charity Hospital to the 13th Ward, which is home of the Meters and the Wild Chapatulas at that time. We was in the right neighborhood to be blessed to, around some great music. And, we soaked it all up, carrying on tradition, and got a chance to, see some great musicians in our neighborhood. And that's what stuck with us for a long time once we heard like the first Wild Chapatulas 8-track. Brother John is gone. Brother keyboard from there, he was pulling out the clothes hamper, playing like it was a keyboard, and I took the suitcase and made it like it was a bass drum. So, from there, the spirit of, of the music was in us, from like 3 and 4 years old. So that's what we've been doing ever since then, music.
Mm-hmm. And then my grandmother down my house used to bring us to church, so we got in the choir, started singing in the choir, And we marched in the band through all junior high school and high school and kept that tradition when we got into this group called the Deaf Generation. Yeah, that's a group that started like 89, 90, which was founded with us, my uncle Cyril Neville, my cousin Emmanuel Staub, the late Emmanuel Staub, who was a founder of the Soul Rebels. Actually, the Soul Rebels came out of the Deaf Generation. That was a group that was ahead of its time, which was like around the same time when Rebirth had Do What You Wanna out. The group consisted of like a horn section, R&B singers, rappers, and dancers. So it was like, a group way ahead of its time. So forming, we are the fathers, the grandfathers of rap second line. Yeah, mixing hip hop and rap music. And second line together. So yeah. We was the first to do that. We was the first to put a rap on top of a brass band thing. And it hit big in the city. It was like hitting radio stations. We woke up in the morning, we on the radio. So that was a very interesting time and something that was created that need to be really talked about and not forgotten. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, definitely. So we got good for big festivals. We were called the Caesar Brothers, featuring the Mardi Gras Indians, So we learned all that growing up in the 13 Ward, you know what I'm saying? Like Rick said, we was in the right place at the right time. When we grew up here, all these musicians practices in sheds and their bands was in the backyards and sheds practicing, so we'd go creep back there and listen. Who the group called now is called Dumpster Funk, but back in the days, they was called the original Uptown All-Stars. Yeah, it consisted of Ivan Neville, Mean Willie Green, Renard Poche, Nick Daniels on bass. So that was a group, riding down Valley Street, Uptown, and you hear something, funking, and you put the bike down, go through the alley, and open the shed door, and they in the shed funking, it's them, like, damn, like, wow. So, that was and not to mention my auntie Guinell, my mama's baby sister, she married Cyril Neville, and when we was like 5 years old. But basically how we get to listen to that funk is following her to rehearsal. She leave out dressed up going to rehearsal, and we sneaking behind her down the street, and she going by on Valley Street by Ivan Neville house. She's lead singer singing Stay by Shaka Khan. And another group that was big influence was, we used to be on Camp Street, camping Upper Line was a group called the Louisiana Purchase. Ooh. Oh man. A group that was seriously well known in New Orleans, so we got to was right there practicing, so we got to see and hear. Never went to school to play no music. It was just an inspiration. It was an inspiration. Spiritual inspiration. Given to me, you know what I'm saying? Art Neville was my inspiration, like totally,
Eddie Bo, Professor Longhair, James Booker, you know what I'm saying? I plays all that type stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And then I incorporate it in the new sound. Be like, oh, he threw some Eddie Bo, he threw some James Booker in there, you know? Hey.
And then to me, it's important of cats our era for what we've seen and experience of music and musicians we, knew and been through. It's important to share that, because if we don't, that's going to be, washed away and gone with, what we did or what we could have did. If the younger musicians don't hear about it, it just would be a young musician just growing up on, what's happening now and the musician they're looking up to, but not telling them who, some of the musicians who paved the way, like seriously. You got to know about some great musicians. I be telling some cats about some musicians, they be like, who that is? I said, man, you got to go dig this cat up. This is a cat that was, was happening before my time, before any of us, so that's important to me too, So.
For right now is a new single that we're featuring David DJ Johnson, who used to sing with a big group back in the days called the Flavor Kings that we used to go and see when we was younger, And we gave him that feature on that song right now, which is really hitting the charts out there right now. It's working big on the radio,
As far as me and my brother, just average musicians in New Orleans like everybody else, but we are an important piece of New Orleans, meaning the average musicians don't know the whole Cyril Neville repertoire, of all his music. You can't just call it, let me go call Jimmy. Jimmy, you gotta send Jimmy some music so he can learn it. Rickey and Norman already know all of this stuff from, back in the days. So, So that's all we trying to do, just pass it on to all the musicians who wanna, the Uptown Funk and just the New Orleans sound that we leaving behind, and just, for everybody to represent and just to carry on, like everybody carry on, the Professor Longhairs, the James Bookers, and, and so on. So
hopefully, everybody, start to recognize the Caesar Brothers. Hey, man, we've been in the game since
the early 90s, man. So that's what we strive for, basically, just to, keep New Orleans music alive and, make people recognize what we do. Now we're not just a side band that back people up. We writers, producers, on all levels, from hip hop to jazz, funk, R&B, anything you name. We're a gumbo.